Welcome to the Leafy Podcast, helping real estate investors and entrepreneurs grow. Say hello to your hosts, Jennifer Gligoric and Brian Price, founders of Leafy Legal Services, teaching you how to protect your assets, grow your business, and manage your wealth. Let's start the show.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Leafy Podcast. Thank you so much for being with us again today. I'm Tammy, the podcast manager, and on the line with me today, I've got Brian Price and Jennifer Gligoric. They are the CEO and COO of Leafy Legal Services. They have an awesome guest for us today, so I'll go ahead and pass it over to them to get started. Jennifer?
Well, today I'm really excited because I have one of my fave peeps on. She has 22 years as a real estate investor. Her background, she has finance, she has real estate. She mentors with investors nationally and internationally, and she provides innovative solutions to those investors. And then she has events in Scottsdale and Tucson where she does Formulaic Circle, and we're going to learn a lot more about it. So everyone, let us welcome Sonia Hodgin to the show. Sonia, I'm so glad we finally got you on the show.
Thank you.
Welcome, Sonia. So why don't you kind of give us a background of how you got into where you started from financially and how you got into real estate, and then we'll kind of dive into the Formulaic Circle.
Well, I've always been an entrepreneur as a child. I always found innovative ways of different things to do and sell and whatnot. And my parents always wondered, why was I so driven? And it's just something that either it's embedded in you or you're not, if you're driven like that. I got into real estate investing in my early 20s. My husband and I at the time were really excited about our future and building a strong foundation. And so we started building our first house when I was 22, it was 24. And we started growing our family and whatnot. And so I have a son, and he's now 26. And so anyways, when he was killed in a car accident when he was 28, I was 26 at the time. And he was kind of the breadwinner. I hate to sound very old fashioned, but he liked to go out there, work, and provide for his family. And so even though we did some investments here and there, we decided that we were going to build our foundation, and we did stocks, we did so on and so forth. At the time where he died, stocks started to dive down. We had Dover stocks, and I realized what's happening. So I decided to take a trip, take my son so he could go to Disneyland and all these different things so I could think. And all of a sudden it hit me about investing. Most people panicked. They were like, that's kind of scary. So I decided to go, headstrong and start investing like crazy. I started getting into vacation rentals, all kinds of aspects. And I also went to a lot of classes, seminars, trainings, all kinds of things. So I wouldn't have all my eggs in one basket. So I've been doing this for a very long time.
Okay, that's awesome. So yeah, I'm sorry to hear about your husband passing away like that. I'm sure that must have taken a lot out of you. How did you get past that? How was that process to kind of go from that?
Thank you for asking that. So I do have a book coming out. It's called Push. So you can imagine Push. It talks about how to push through every life obstacles that there will be. Always will be one. So we can always make excuses, or we can let obstacles just slow us down. And I think the most part was that the foundation was there. We had grown, and I started at a young age. So failure wasn't really an option. It was just shaking yourself off, and every time you fall, you get up and you keep going. The other driven part was I had a 5-year-old. So raising my son, he was at Intuition at the time. I didn't want to change his lifestyle because his daddy was missing. So Push allowed me to keep pushing through every aspect. So when a market, crashed, how do we push through everything? And that's, there's always going to be obstacles. There's always going to be sacrifices. So I just always reminded myself to just keep pushing.
Mm-hmm.
I love that because, it's so back to basics. Yes, you've got to push, but it reminds me of, I was at my aunt's funeral, and she had 6 kids, and they had lots of kids. And I learned stories about her, I always knew of her as being very well off. Like that side of the family was very well off. 2 of her children ended up being judges, one on this Texas State Supreme Court. They were very well off. I had no idea that when the kids were very little, because she had them in stages. So, like way before I was born, her husband, his partner, took him for a ride financially. They had a car that didn't have a windshield on it, and you could only go forward, or you could only start it if you were on a hill and you kind of like pushed it. Well, we live in Texas, there are no hills. So she would have to push start this car as a single mom with 3 kids at the time, little bitty kids, to get anywhere with no windshield. Like, if you knew the aunt that I knew, I'm sitting here going, wow, like it was amazing. And she was always very driven though, very driven. And so one of her grandkids came up and she was talking and she goes, so when I told grandma I had MS, it was unbelievable. Here I have 2 little kids. I had a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. And then I get this diagnosis and I don't feel good. And everyone was just, floored around me, it's going to be bad or whatever. And she goes, the first thing grandma said to me is, she goes, well, you can't let yourself go to pot. You got those babies to think of. And, it is perfect, right? It was, and that reminds me of Push, right? She pushed, and she ended up having a beautiful home and these wonderful children. She went back to school, became a teacher, and they still teach a curriculum she developed in school. And that's after she had 6 kids. And she learned floral arranging and actually got a little award on that. I mean, I'm listening to this thing and I'm like, man, this woman's amazing, right? Like, and I knew her my whole life. She was my godmother, but she pushed. So I really appreciate that. That's going to be amazing because everyone will see you now. You're doing these seminars. You are teaching investors and getting them together and helping them move forward. I know that you do something, how to invest and up your basis that you've done, as well as 300 formulas on how to that's the 300 formulas on how to invest and up your basis and then put it to work. And so they're like, oh yeah, well, that's easy for her because she's rich, right?
Right.
They see you now. They don't see, the grieving mom of a 5-year-old whose life is in a wreckage and your base, your foundation are gone, going, well, now what do I do? I mean,
and that's really a good way to put it. 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And so what did I do? I decided to panic and I started to sell all my stuff because who's going to take care of all this, right? And then I realized, well, wait a minute, what's going to happen afterwards? I'm not dying. So it was funny to see myself go into that panic mode that I teach my seminars, people will do. And what do you do to push from that? And I caught myself right in the midst of everything. And I thought to myself, what are you doing? I was able to pull myself back and be able to turn around and just freeze, push through that, go, move on, and able to learn that there's never a bad day in real estate or investing. It's a good day every day. It's either a good day to buy or a good day to sell. And every investment has a different story. Each investment, no 2 are ever going to be the same. You can go back and rebuy some of those, which I did. And what happened was the formula changed. Isn't that interesting? Same buyers, same everything, but it just changed because at that point, things it had leveled at a different level. So it's interesting how to see 300 ways to buy, sell, and trade real estate. Technically, it could be more than that. It's how you put the formulas together because you can use multiple formulas together, multiple people, different arms. And it makes it really interesting and fun at the same time. But having the right mentors with you, teaching you through that, investing together. So with those seminars that we have, we make sure that it's people that are going to utilize, because I only have 25 people and I only do it once a year. So I comb through them because I want to make sure that these investors are going to be honest. They're going to be willing, and they're going to push through anything, no matter what the economy brings to us. So they're constantly working together. We built a brothership. And I don't mean like a brother, just men, but men and women. So it's more of a partnership for everyone, which is fantastic.
That's great. So in these sessions, you're basically giving them the tools they need to become investors. Are they mostly new investors, or are they people that are fairly seasoned that you're helping them kind of expand, go to the next
I'll be
level?
honest with you, I don't discriminate. Someone can
Okay.
come in and say, listen, I have $10,000 to invest and I have never invested in the past.
Mm-hmm.
If they have the driven and the
Mm-hmm.
ability to push through any obstacles, because then there's some people that I've trained in the past and they come back and they say, oh, that was tough, I'm not going to do this again. What a waste of my time.
Yeah.
Because I look at this going, I can train them how to do this, or I can just
Mm-hmm.
keep investing myself.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, we want to find people that have this state of mind.
Mm. And how are you finding the people with the right state of mind, since you've been through this so many times?
Well, I don't have a chime out there, as you know. There's no commercial for me or anything like that. It's 110% all referrals.
Okay.
So people come up to me, everybody of every caliber, police officers, all kinds of people that talk to everybody and that want to invest. They
Mm-hmm.
send them my way. I do interview them very carefully, but a lot of people just want to be rich. Real estate is not about being rich. Real estate is about being successful.
Mm.
Boy, that's a good quote. Real estate isn't about being rich. Real estate is about being successful. Tammy, write that one down. I want to. That's a good quote. I'm going to remember. I'm stealing it. I'm going to say Sonia Hodgin says this. That's a good one.
Once in a while again.
Yeah. No, I'll give you credit. I stole one from Chris Nagel, that HGTV's Rescue Bill. He was on his show and I was on. We did a swap, and he has this great quote where he talks about your money. He goes, don't have your money just being passive. Just think of it as just sitting on your couch, eating your Cheetos, watching your Netflix. Make that money work for you. And he was talking about a solo 401k. So I was using it. And then I think I actually used it on his show. And I'm like, hey, wait a minute. You're the one who says that. I stole that from you.
He must have been proud.
Yeah. So now I make sure to give him credit because I was kind of a little bit embarrassed about it, but I can't help it. I hear good things and it just, the imprint, that was a good one. That was
I have a lot of people say, what would Sonia say? And they have these quotes and they use it all the time. To me, it tells me that people are listening. And that means a lot to me because I don't want to hear myself speak. I rather hear myself think. So when I get to share something and someone's actually listening, to me, it gives me pride to keep wanting to show people and explain people how to grow in their lives. Real estate investing, it's not about the money as we've talked about. It's about building yourself, building around you and being grateful, always giving back. And that's the hard part with a lot of investors they just want to get rich. And it's a very dangerous game to get involved in, especially with people with the wrong state of mind.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you can't tell us about every single 300 formulas because we need to come to your event. We need to listen and we need to do that. But can you give us an idea of maybe one or two of them, or the one or two most important ones, or ones to start with, besides sign up and come and visit you?
I'd love to share, and that's why this book will really talk about the formulas. And it's not about the money; it's about educating people, so then they're not falling in the hands of. Obviously, there's real estate agents, but there's salespeople. They're not investors, so they fall in the hands of investing properties, but they're not investing. They're just filling their bags with more liabilities, as you would know. So to me, the more people know about it, these are ancient formulas. I didn't create them. I was given the opportunity because I was out there seeking to learn about these. So the more people learn, the better. I would say my favorite is I like to do seller financing. And you get top dollars for your property no matter what the economy is doing. By doing a seller financing, I can carry the note. I have a write-off. The person in front of me has a write-off. And then my favorite part is that the note has no work. So like a rental property or that type of thing. And what I like to do is I like to trade that because you always can up your basis again. So even though this is a cash flow, most people are like, well, why don't you sit on it? I like to be able to trade it up for something else. Because $1 is worth $1, but an asset you can actually put a price to that. Because what is that really worth? If you sold it for $100,000, you're getting 6% interest rate. It's actually worth $350,000, isn't it? Why not trade that for something else and up your basis? And somebody might not want maybe a yacht, or that's $1 million yacht. They want to get out of it. Why not trade it for that? Where I can have my seminars, just as an idea, or a jet that I can, lease out the spaces and whatnot. There's so many ways to up your basis. So it allows me to move spaces. A lot of people get a certain age and they want to be able to eliminate a lot of that. They're tired. They just want to make things simple. So being able to do that. So it just gives me the power to do whatever I want with it. And people will, surprisingly, they'll offer you a lot for a note. That one's
Interesting.
my favorite.
Can you kind of dive into what a seller financing is for some of the people that are probably new that may have not heard that term before?
Sure. So that means that you own a property. It doesn't mean that you have to have it owned outright. You could have an underlying mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is that you can fix up a property, own it, and then you can either rent it out, sell the rental property to the person that was looking for that investment, and then carry the note. They'll give you, basically you close for a title company, do all that to make sure everything is properly and legally done. And so what you do is you get a down payment and they become the owners, but you become the bank, even though you have an underlying bank. So I'm still responsible for the underlying mortgage, but now I become a note holder.
Right. Okay.
And I can make interest on my, it's more of a long-term relationship.
Right. Right. So even if someone doesn't have credit or anything like that too, you can actually if they have cash flow and they can't get the mortgage themselves, it kind of gets them in their own home as well. If
quick closing, you don't have to worry about appraisals. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not a banker, so I don't have to discriminate by credit. Who am I to tell you what credit should look like?
Mm-hmm.
People have different circumstances like divorces or the fact that they've never really don't believe in credit cards, whatever it is. So what we do is we build the relationship with the person, with the property versus discriminating what they've been doing with their lives or haven't. Right.
Right. Okay. And is there any things that you want to keep in mind when you're getting someone in as a seller type person, since it's obviously a long-term relationship you're going to have with this person? You know, what kind of things are you looking for to make sure that they actually pay over time?
Well, you said the key word. The key word was making sure that they can qualify for the fact that they can make the payments, that they have cash flow coming in. You want to make sure that they're successful too, because it's a win-win. I like the quote from Hugh Down that says, to say my fate is not tied to your fate. It's like saying your end of the boat is sinking. We sink together. So what you want to do is when you originate a seller financing, first of all, you want to go through the title company. There's a regulation called Dodd-Frank regulation. And Dodd-Frank talks about, one, can they afford the house? Two, is the house, what is the state of the property? Is it an investment or is it a property that they're going to be moving in? So obviously you don't want it to be a rehab at that point. So there's different things you want to look at. You want to make sure they have a job and the job hasn't been there for a month. That'd be kind of scary. And then if they can't keep the job, that means they're not going to be able to make the payments.
Yeah.
So you also have to look at that. If they don't make the payments, you're going to have to make the underlying mortgage for them. So, yes. So that's what some of the criteria you want to look for.
Okay, I want to circle back to the getting a boat or a yacht or whatever. So I'm sorry, I heard that and I was like, oh, that's so cool. So what is the coolest up your basis that you've seen done either with yourself or with one of your investors?
I'll give you a fun one I did. This is my funnest one I ever did. So I went to an event up in Las Vegas, and it was all for trading. And so I had a bad breakup on an engagement. So I had my engagement ring, beautiful ring. Well, I'm not going to keep it. I don't call that a souvenir. So I got the ring and I turned around and I traded it for a Discovery Channel tornado chasing package for a week.
Wow.
How fun is that?
Yeah. I was like, I just got rid of one tornado for a better one. So that was a lot of fun. I used to see the stuff that got thrown at me, lots and all kinds of things. It was a lot of fun.
Wow.
That is so much fun.
Yes.
Oh my God. I can just see you just screeching around a tornado alley in Oklahoma going, we have an F5 or F3 in front of us. And, oh my gosh.
Of course, the trucks, they dig down to the ground really deep. And I thought, dear Lord, do not let it fail now. That's what you want to hang on to.
So they actually do that twister sort of dig in? So you don't
really,
flip?
you're on and then you get an interview with the Discovery Channel about your thoughts and feelings and so on and so forth and whatnot. Yeah.
That is so much fun.
So at the end of the day, I could have just I could have traded that again.
Yeah. Yeah, you could have. You know, back in the day, they had a website that was like Trade Up. Do you remember that? It was like Barter Up, and one guy did it for 2 years, and he started out with a pen, and he ended up getting a house. At 2 years trading little things, and he ended up getting a house. I've got to find that story if I can.
It's called the Red Paper Pen or Paperclip.
Oh yeah,
on YouTube as well. It is phenomenal. I did a seminar once, and in a trader show, and I played that for people to get an idea to be more creative. And it was funny because that video shows how he was able to up his bases, and then he all of a sudden gotten something that was like, oh, nobody wanted it.
Oh, I
Until
remember that. I think
somebody wanted it. Yeah.
Yeah. I have to watch that again. Well, that's amazing. Okay, everybody, we're talking to Sonia, Sonia Hodgin, Hodgin, and she is the mentor and amazing coach of Formulaic Circle. And you can visit her on LinkedIn at Sonia Thompson Hodgin. And we have all the links, so you don't have to worry about this. It'll be under the show, and you can just click on it. But let's just keep on going. I just wanted to take a break in case anybody came in the middle. And what are y'all talking about tornadoes and twisters for? Anyway, you were going to say something, Brian, I think, or no?
Oh, I was just wondering, what's another formula that you talk about in part of the 300 that you
You know, I'm going to go ahead and throw in something that Jeannie just said in regards to the Formulaic Circle. Formulaic Circle has, after people have been through the seminars, they fly in once a month. And what we do is we trade aspects, so different things. Sometimes you trade, and these are investors or accredited investors. And because it's a small group of 12 people, I wine and dine them. And what we do is we trade assets. And so in one night, we'll do about 38 million. So what happens is you've got some people that will trade, they'll trade some credits of their business or services for real estate, that type of thing. So which is kind of neat. My favorite formula that I've ever used, as you had asked, is when people pull their don't wanters. Don't wanter means that this isn't doing anything for me, maybe a piece of land. Well, a piece of land is good because they're not making it anymore, right? So you throw in a pool, and everybody throws their pool, and you trade everything for a huge asset, and you become a certain amount of ownership as a group. And that's pretty fun.
That is so creative.
Banks loans against it because now they have all this collateral, or people will trade the big bundle for that one property they didn't want because they're just tired. But it makes it a lot of fun because at the end of the day, if they were looking to not have to work anymore, and you have a piece of land and all this, all they're looking is for something to trade so they can do a 1031. And the way you do that is, as you know, you would park it in one LLC to another LLC and then trade that.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot.
Well, that's cool. It almost be kind of a fun white elephant gift thing too. Everybody wrap up their do not want asset, and at Christmas time they would pass it around.
You should hear the stories everybody has. Like, how did you get that? Properties in Thailand, or crops and you know, or vineyards up in Argentina. Some of the coolest stuff that people have. It's really neat. But you're just like, how did you come across that? The story sometimes is a lot funner than it is to know about the property and whatnot, but it's pretty intriguing.
Ooh, a vineyard.
Cool.
Oh, God, if I had my own vineyard, you'd just say goodbye to me. I would be regular. That would be it. I'd be like, hey, guys. I'd be so happy. Or yurts. I want to do, here in Texas, we have this great type of glamping where they create the Mongolian yurts out like in the hill country, and you can go stay in a yurt. I don't know why. I just think that'd be so much fun until, a mosquito bites me, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm not yurting it anymore. That is so creatively fun. How much fun are you having over there? I've got to come and visit you. Every time I talk to you, I'm like, I've got to come and visit you. So is there anything else you can tell us about, so the book's coming out now, Push, and where can we find the book? That's important too.
And that's really preliminary because I'm still trying to figure out a whole marketing aspect. I do have a book out that I sponsored and bought ownership on. It's called 300 Ways to Buy, Sell, Trade Real Estate. And so they do all the marketing for me and all that. So this is going to be a new thing for me. Amazon and Barnes and Noble offered to hold my book, so which will be nice. But this is something that I'm going to get my feet wet and figure out how to do the marketing aspect. But I'll definitely have it on my LinkedIn and that type of thing. So yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
Great, because I want to get it pushed.
Yeah.
I like it. I like that idea.
It has the good and the bad. It has everything in it.
Yeah, that's
Very
gonna
cool.
be a good one. Okay, Brian, we're looking like our time. We're going to have to push through. Do you have any ending things? Yeah.
Well, I mean, if someone just going to get started, as a lot of people are listeners, some of them don't have any assets yet, or they're just getting started, what would kind of be a way that you would suggest people get started in real estate or any kind of assets they want to build?
Well, thank you for asking that. Everybody has inventory. They just don't know that. Sometimes people have a broken down car sitting in their driveway. There's a lot of things. Businesses have inventory that unpaid invoices. You can trade that. There's a lot of lawyers that buy those things because they have the infrastructure to go after the asset, or they can use it as a write-off. A lot of investors like to buy that for a reason. So there's so many different things that you can go buy. Everyone is an expert at something. So we have this thing called printing for dollars. Printing for dollars is that what you do a certificate, and you would do, for an example, perhaps for myself, let's say coaching. So my minimum is about $20,000. So if I charge someone $20,000, I could put a certificate saying $20,000. Now I can trade that towards a real estate. I can use it as a down payment. I can use it as a purchase right out, or I could bundle it together with somebody else. So everybody has an ability to do that. Cleaning services. Everybody needs cleaning, but maybe I already have a cleaning lady and someone's going to trade me cleaning services. Well, I could use that and pull it together with other things that I have for trade. And now I have a better bundle to put together to present to other investors.
Okay.
So there's,
that's creative,
IRAs also. People don't understand that they're putting their monies in IRAs and it's not really working for them. So a self-directed IRA, you can push that over, and they can create their own investments through that. They can create notes, they can purchase against it. IRA is a great way to go about it. Other people have the same thing, and if you give them a certain interest value of it, people are going to be willing to invest in you. So you really don't need any money.
We love SDIRAs and solo 401ks. We have a partnership with Vanna because Scott over there, Vanna has a massive team, but we usually like to talk to Scott because he's a lawyer and an investor, and he's very creative as well on knowing, very quickly for real estate investors have very specific ways they like to use their checkbook control retirement accounts. And he can just say, yeah, we can do that, or you can do this. Oh, and you can do this too, kind of like you, where you're just always like ping, 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 ping. Oh, there's 500 ideas. And before I was just sitting here going, I'm lost. And then, boom, explosion of thought and ideas. But no, you're totally right on that one.
Well, lawyers love when they can't get, when there's a settlement or so on and so forth. A lot of the times, like for an example, I'll use Walmart for an example, when they had a lawsuit, what they did was they paid out, instead of cash, a lot of their assets that were sitting there doing nothing for them as part of their settlements. And so a lot of lawyers take settlements of buildings and assets. So now they have something that either trade, sell, or whatever, carry a note. So they're wonderful aspects. Most, there's no rule for the thumb. You always want to have some skin in the game, but there's nothing that says that I have to take a down payment.
Man, I learned so much from you every single time we talk. It's just like I get you say one thing and I get 25 more questions. So we could talk all day long on this. We're talking again to Sonia Hodgin, Hodgin. We're at the end of the show. Tammy, you're going to have to take us away. But Sonia, is there anything you want to leave with us before we go? And I'm already missing you.
Oh. What I would say is, this would be to the public. Don't be afraid. We're all going to fail. But it's okay. It's how you bounce back is how it determines who you are. But never give up. And there's so many people out there that are dying to venture with someone else, to buy, fix, and flip. And there's a lot of shows out there and information. But the truth is there is not enough information out there that educates the clients. You need to be not afraid, but they need to find the right mentors.
Yes, absolutely.
I would suggest for anybody at any age, there's no such thing as too early or too late.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, Tammy. I'm like a kid whose parents are saying, you got to come off the playground. I'm like, oh, okay, you're going to have to take us away before I just steal Sonia's day.
All right. Thank you again, Sonia, it's always a pleasure to talk with you. And thank you so much for coming on the show. And Brian and Jennifer, thank you so much for hosting again today. And we will have Sonia's LinkedIn information in our show notes so that anybody can get a hold of her. And if you have any questions or comments for the show, please email me at Tammy, Tammy, at leafylegalservices.com, and I'll get right back to you. And if you like our show, please find us on any platform that you can hear a podcast. We are there at Leafy Legal. We'd love it if you would leave a comment and a rating. And if you're looking for us on social media, we are also at Leafy Legal. So have a wonderful day, and thank you again for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Attention real estate investors and entrepreneurs. Did you know that real estate investors are a primary target for lawsuits? According to the National Survey of the Court data, 25% of Americans risk being sued in their lifetime. However, if you are a real estate investor, you have a 95% chance of being sued in the next 20 years. Leafy Legal Services helps you protect your assets and strategically grow your business and wealth. Leafy Legal Services are experts at the Series LLC and Delaware Statutory Trust, two of the newest and most ideal legal structures for real estate investors. Leafy Legal Services have the most personalized and affordable solutions for setting up LLCs. Property owners are always at risk when it comes to their assets. Anonymity is so important. If you own just a rental house and you own your home, you have to protect yourself and your properties from any potential legal issues. Leafy Legal Services have the right solutions to make sure you are happy and feel secure. They offer cost-effective documentation that suits their clients' needs. For a free consultation and ebook, visit leafylegalservices.com. They are waiting to hear from you. leafylegalservices.com.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Don't wait. Take action now. LeafyLegalServices.com. Protect your assets, grow your business, and manage your wealth.